guys, it's Brianna Lynn and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to do this Halloween inspired, The Walking Dead inspired tutorial. It was something that was fun. I'm not gonna say reincarnating. What am I doing? I'm doing this again for the second time. I did something similar to this on Cameron about 2 years ago. When Halloween came back around, now that I have my YouTube, I was like, okay, I should retry that. But now that my skills have improved, I should try it a little better. Why are you spitting it out?
That was nice. Sorry, guys.
Well, if y'all don't know who this guy is, it is Cameron Walton. This is my boyfriend, you guys, of 4 years.
You gotta put my whole name on there? Hey, what's up?
We'll be together for 4 years on November 4th. Say hey.
Hey, everybody.
Tell them who you are.
You told them who I am.
So? So this is going to be a super easy look for like the average or beginner type person that's trying to do a zombie look. So yeah. If you like this look, then just keep watching.
So I started out with using just like an applicator sponge, just a wedged applicator sponge, and I applied a small amount of Elmers liquid glue to it, and I'm going to apply a thin layer over his entire face. Specifically on his forehead, I'm using a process called stretch and stipple, where you stretch the skin, you stipple on some glue, and you let it go, and it creates just like a network of creases and all the folds in his forehead. It really picks up on that additional texture. So all over his face, I'm applying this really thin layer of Elmer's glue, which also helps to create texture underneath the fake skin that I'm about to apply. Also, you'll see here where I'm like trying it out to make sure that it makes a nice decent sized gash in his head. I'm really winging this right now, so I was just making sure that it was looking how I thought it was going to turn out. So here I'm just applying Elmer's glue, the stick version, to his brows. I didn't want to work around them, and I didn't want it to look weird if I put like face paint or something over it, so I just decided to go ahead and cancel them out, and later on I'm going to put some powder over it. So here I am actually going into the process of making the fake skin. What I use is just some more liquid Elmer's glue, and I use some toilet paper. I rip the ends to make sure that the edges aren't too crisp and clean and kind of distort them a little bit, and I just apply. So this process I'm going to do about 2 or 3 times. It's just going to be a layer of Elmer's glue, a layer of toilet paper or paper towels, whichever one you have, a layer of Elmer's glue, toilet paper, and just do that process about 3 or 4 times, making sure that I focus a lot of the Elmer's glue on the edges so that they'll stay pasted down throughout the whole process, because once you start to move your face around, the edges can come up, and that's not what you want. You want them to stay down throughout. I also did mention that in this whole process I am using Elmer's glue as a dupe for liquid latex. So I had an original plan, it didn't work, so I had to come up with basically a lot of DIYs for this project, which I think helped out a lot because not everyone can go out and purchase what they need. So what I did is just looked what I had, what crafts I had at the house, and figured out some dupes for stuff like liquid latex, blood, fake skin, and stuff like that. I feel like that really makes this look very achievable to the average person. So here I'm doing that same exact process on the other side of his face. I decided to go in with a popsicle stick and make them a little more smooth. The applicator sponge was doing good, but I figured a popsicle stick would do a lot. So at this point, his eyebrows were dry enough for me to go ahead and put the powder on them. So I used the mixture of the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in the shade 220 and the NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat Powder Foundation in the color Chestnut. Both these colors are way lighter than him, but I mixed them together to kind of give him like that dead, ashy look. So here I'm just using my pinky to actually create the holes in the skin where I'm going to start doing all the shadowing and stuff. I'm just making sure that I'm emphasizing those gashes and really defining them. So here I'm using another one of those applicator sponge, and what I did is just basically tore out some chunks. So it's a sponge, but it's going to allow me to create texture, and I mixed 2 foundations. Black Radiance in the color Brownie and L.A Colors Liquid Makeup. This doesn't have, oh yes it does, Deep Beige. I made sure that I took this all the way down his neck, and I set it with some of the powders that I created as well. So I decided that Cameron's face didn't have enough texture, and I decided to go back in on his nose and basically put some more fake skin there to kind of rough it up a little bit. Using the sponge allowed some texture, but not as much as I wanted. So here I went in with the BH Cosmetics palette.
What?
This Just Dance palette.
A palette that I've had for a super long time, and I never use it unless I'm trying to do like an artsy project like this. It has a lot of colors in it. So out of this palette, I'm going to use some browns, some blacks, a few of the deep purples, deep greens, deep blues to just create those bruises and help emphasize the deep gashes that are in his face. I started out using a blending brush, but I realized that I had to go to like a flat, more dense brush because the palette was just super old and super chalky, so I needed something that could pick up more product and actually give me more of a payoff. Preparing to do this project, I realized the importance of shadowing. That can make or break your look. So I went in with really dark, deep like black and brown colors in the gashes, and then on the edges of those gashes I'm going to go in with like a brown eyeshadow. While I was doing this, I realized that the places that didn't have gashes didn't look grungy and like dead enough for me. So what I decided to do is just go in with the fluffy brush and basically just kind of paint his face with a lot of the browns, the blacks, and the purples to give it texture. The biggest key right now is texture, and more texture. Dead people do not have soft skin, so do what you have to do to get as much texture. You can use shadowing, you can use like fake skin, you can highlight and contour areas. Just do what you have to do to create as much texture on the face as possible. Once Cameron's nose dried, I went ahead with that same powder mixture that I made earlier and toned it down, gave it that death mauve look again, and made sure all the edges were blended out and very smooth with his skin. At this point, I used the black and the purple kind of mixed together to hollow out his eyeballs. There was nothing specific that I did. There was no specific technique that was used. I really just got a blended brush and just kind of filled in the sockets of his eyes and just kind of felt with my hand where his natural eye socket was, black and with the purple. So at this point I am just shading. The biggest thing is shading. I would look at him, see what needed to be shaded, see where some dimension needed to be added, and I would go for it. So mainly around the edges of his wounds, around the edges of his gashes. I would put a little red tint in there, but I mainly worked with like deep purples, deep blacks, deep blues, and some greens to just give him that eerie color. But I was just looking and seeing where the dimension needed to be and where the shading needed to be. Now for the main part of the look, which is the blood. It's definitely a DIY project. I made it from honey and food coloring. So the colors that I used were like black, green, and of course red. When I was applying this blood, I was trying to think want it to come out of the wounds and then just take its natural course and like the natural curvature of his face and let it just drip. I highly recommend wearing a shirt you don't care about because it was dripping everywhere. I also concentrated more of the blood deep within the wound to kind of give it color, but this is the final look, you guys.
Okay, so this is the final look. I hope it's something easy that you can do. A lot of these things like the blood, the skin, a lot of it was like DIY, so it's not hard to accomplish. Make sure that you hit the like button, you subscribe, you comment, all those type things. Let me know how you feel about this look, and until my next video, it's Brianna Lynn. Bye.